So we continue the questions on the third chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. The next question is by Arati Girishji, that every action that we perform, is it because of our thinking or is it God's way for us to think? Actually, whatever action that we perform, the basic trigger, the starting point, the karma bija is laid by the jivatma, not by the paramatma. So therefore, the second part of the question, where you say that whatever has happened to us because of our karma, so we perform our karma by our own independent free will and desire, and therefore we are responsible for our destiny. So there are, just like there are two tracks in a railway on which a train moves, likewise our past and future and our present moves on the two tracks of destiny as well as our free will. And the next question, next part of the question is, how can we change the future happening? Sometimes the astrologer says it was bound to happen, but if any puja was performed, this could be avoided. Actually, our destiny is so powerful, our karma bandhana is so strong that it is very, very difficult to avoid the future which our destiny holds. But there is only one way, which is the path of yoga. By the path of yoga, especially bhakti yoga, it is stated in the Brahma Samhita, karmani nirdahati kintu cha bhakti bhajam govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Bhakti bhajam, anyone who engages in the bhakti of Lord Govinda, karmani nirdahati, all his karmas are completely vanquished. So, and in that way we can change our future as well. The next question by Sri Devanandji. Swamiji, thanks for the wonderful narration of Karma Yoga in chapter 3. Thank you. Without expecting the fruit of karma, how can we remain committed to the karma? So, this is a very interesting question, that if we are not to expect the fruit of karma, how can we remain committed to the karma? So just like Krishna explains in the second chapter, text number 47, karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phala hetur bhur mate sangostu akarmani, that although you should not expect the result of your action, mate sangostu akarmani, you should not be attached to inaction. So how should we perform our action? It is explained in Bhagavad Gita chapter 10, text number 10, tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam. When we act in pure loving devotional service, just like a mother acts out of love for its child without expecting any fruits of the result of serving the child, likewise when the jivatma acts in bhakti or in prema towards the Supreme Lord, at that time although there is no result, we don't expect the result, but we act out of pure love and devotion. Next question by Shwetaji. Namaste Guruji. Though we follow work is worship, but sometimes we get frustrated at the end of day and we burst out our anger at home. Why, Guruji? Please explain. So sometimes it is said like work is worship, kaya kave kailasa, but the work is worship. Work becomes worship. Work has to be converted into worship, and that is the path of karma yoga. Simply if you do karma, it is not actually worship, and it will lead to frustration and anger and krodha. Only when you connect your karma with the Supreme Lord, it becomes karma yoga, by which we can gradually subdue the enemies of lust, anger, kama and krodha. The next question by Bhaskar ji. What is the duty of a married man? What karma yoga a married man should or can do? And a similar question is by Surekha Bhandari ji. Likewise for a married woman, also for couples with children and for couples with no offspring. So the duty of a married man is to take care of his family, of his family members. All this may be there, but whatever karma one may be engaged in, what karma yoga a married man can do? So yes, whatever duties that a married man has got, whatever duties that we are performing in our day-to-day life, when we connect it with the Supreme by offering the result of that action, and as the saying goes, that hand to work and mind to God. And in this way, by engaging in our karma but with our consciousness connected with the Supreme Lord, this is the way of doing karma yoga as well as bhakti yoga, which can be done by a married man, married woman, or a mother or a child, by everyone. The next question by Shri Ramesh ji. Pranam Guruji. In today's session, you mentioned Kama and Krodha being the main enemies of an individual, and these enemies are seated in sense organs, mind, and intelligence. So, to gain control over Kama and Krodha, how should one progress? Should one use intellect followed by mind and then sense organs? Or is it in the reverse order? It is in the reverse order as explained in chapter 3, text number 41, that tasmatvam indriyani adau niyamya bharatagshava. Indriyani adau, one should first control the senses. In fact, the definition of bhakti yoga is Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam, to engage our senses in the service of the Supreme Lord Rishikesha. So when we engage our senses, automatically, gradually the mind can come under control. When mind comes under the control, then the buddhi is controlled, and in this way we can conquer Kama and Krodha. The next question by Shri Pradeep, the last question by Shri Pradeep Doshi ji. Guruji, you explained karma yoga well, thank you. My question is on the three types of karma we do: nitya karma, role based karma, and charitable karma. In the modern world where time is rare, we are barely able to find time for role based karma. How does one reconcile between the interests for the family, nation, and nature? So everything is reconciled when we connect everything with the Supreme Lord. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that yatha taror mula nishechanena. In fact, in our present condition, when we are disconnected from God, everything remains incomplete. Because just like if you want to nourish a tree, if you take water and pour it on the leaf or twigs or branches, it is not the proper way to provide nourishment to the tree. You should go and water the root of the tree, and the root of the tree is God, the Supreme Lord. So in whatever activities, whatever role, whatever karma that we are doing, if we connect it with the Supreme Lord, that is the complete and perfect way of doing any activity. The final question, Ramesh ji, should one have all the three gunas, sattva, raja, and tamasic? Should sattva dominate over two gunas for progressing in spiritual enlightenment? Yes, definitely. The Sattva Guna is definitely more helpful and useful for progress in spiritual enlightenment. But finally, when for spiritual realization, one should surpass even the Sattva Guna and come to the stage of Gunatita, and that is called as Vasudeva Sattva. Sattvam Vishuddham Vasudeva Shabditam. The pure level of consciousness is called the Shuddha Sattva, which does not have any tinge of material Sattva, Rajo or Tamoguna. Sattva Guna is helpful as explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam in the first canto in 11th chapter, text number 34, that Kantakam Kantakenaiva. Just like if you have been pricked by a thorn. Now to remove that thorn, you may use another kantaka, another thorn remove the first thorn, and after that dvayam cha apishitu swayam, that then you throw both the thorns, both of them are not useful for you. Likewise, with the thorn of sattva guna, you may remove the thorn of tamoguna and rajoguna, but then you have to throw all the three thorns or ropes of sattva guna, rajoguna and tamoguna, and come to the transcendental divine consciousness, which is gunatita. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.